about the Lions and Chiefs more specifically, about how they're winning games they're not supposed to win. You know, that's kind of like in some of these games, the stats outweigh this. And then in some of these teams, they like Goff throws 5 picks, they still win the game. Why do you think that is the case with these good teams? How come it's always the great teams that win games they're not supposed to? And why do crop teams lose the games that they're supposed to, you think, Coach?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's great, a great job by those teams of just finding a way to win, whether it's defensively for the Chiefs making a stop like they did against Atlanta, or driving to win the game like they did last week against Tampa, or blocking a field goal. It's just finding a way to win. And same thing with the Lions. You know, special teams a couple weeks ago against Tennessee. And, you know, they've been good on offense, they've been good on defense. And so it's having a balanced team and being able to step up and do what you need to do at the right time. Obviously, you know, Denver made a mistake, and I think that's one of the things that you learn as a team is you just can't have anything go wrong against teams like that are really good. And one little thing, they'll take advantage of it. It's not a little thing, but one thing.
I think we're all impressed with Bo Nix, was able to make some plays whenever he had to. Sean Payton's obviously got them bought in. At number 54 is going to be the fish now if he's going to maintain out there. I was always taught, and I don't know yours, that end there, he's getting eyes to 2, right? It looks like he just ducks his head and then kind of is on his heel. He gets run right through. I assume the Chiefs knew that. It's obviously been happening earlier in the game. But that's the type of shit you guys are looking for in that type of in that aspect of the game, right, Coach?
Yeah, that's right. And you know, just really poor balance there. Like you said, just kind of got run over, and that ended up being the C gap rusher. So just not strong enough there at the point of attack, and that shouldn't be a problem, but obviously it was. So look, I always say, no matter what your role is on the team, whether you're on the kickoff team, whether you're on the field goal team, whether you're on the punt return team, whether you're on the goal line team, whether you're a starter or whatever it is, every play you play, be the best at it. You and your unit be the best at it that you can be. Be the best in the league at field goal protection, kickoff return, punt coverage. Whatever it is, whatever your role is, be the best at it you can be. And that's what championship teams have, is they have, you know, it's a team of teams, right? It's not just one team out there. It's a team of teams. And even within the offense, defense, special teams, there are multiple units involved there. And so whichever one you're on, you know, take the utmost pride in it and give us the highest level of performance that you have on that team, whether it's 1 play or 65 plays. That's what you need to win championships and win games against good teams.
God, the attention to detail is so awesome.
Yeah.
I wonder why you won so much. I wonder why you won so much. Speaking of a franchise that wins a bunch, the Pittsburgh Steelers seemingly back in contention to potentially win a championship. Before this season, you said, you know, there's a lot of conversation about a lot of quarterbacks. I think the Steelers are very comfortable and good with their quarterback room. Now Justin Fields comes in. He wins some games. A difficult decision was made by Coach Mike Tomlin. He said, I want to see what we have with Russ. We know what we have with Justin. We want to go on and win. They get a huge win over a hot Washington Commanders team. Russell Wilson makes big plays. Preston Smith makes some big plays. Mike Williams makes some big plays. Everybody that they've added to that team seemingly over the last year has contributed. What are your thoughts on the Steelers, and how do you feel about them potentially being a team in the end?
Well, I think this week will be a big that'll go a long way to seeing how this division turns out against Baltimore. Those are 2 teams that you know, don't exchange Christmas cards. So that'll be a great matchup there. You know, a lot of these teams talking about their quarterback and their franchise quarterback and all that. Looks like Pittsburgh has 2 good quarterbacks, so that's a good thing. And of course, they've always been, you know, really solid on defense. They made a lot of moves at the trade deadline, whether it's for the receiver, the pass rusher. Just, you know, I would say a couple roles that they feel like they really needed to strengthen their team. And it looks like they're going to be in it for a while. So it's a great job by Pittsburgh, and, you know, just a good situational play at the end of the game. You know, and Washington jumped offside, you know, not get the ball back, a bad penalty. Same thing that happened in the Jacksonville game where, you know, they get a bad penalty there and you know, end up not getting the ball back at the end. Minnesota able to run out the clock by kneeling on the ball. So situational football, again, everybody that walks on the field, whether it's their decision like those penalties, or whether it's ball security like what happened in the Giants game, or field goal protection like what happened in the Denver game, each one of those guys has a lot of responsibility when you step foot onto the field, and if you make a mistake, it's it's the whole organization that can celebrate or suffer, depending on how that goes. So that's why you need a full team.
Go ahead, AJ.
Coach, your old squad, the Patriots got a big win, and Drake Maye, their young quarterback, is playing well and pumping up the defense and trying to get all the media room to give a standing ode to the defense. What do you make of the young guys' play? Do you like how he's kind of grown into that leadership role and playing better on the field as well?
Yeah, well, I think he's done a good job when he's been able to scramble and run around, made some plays on play action where they can separate the defense, because the running game, when Stevenson can get it going, is draw some of the coverage and the linebackers up and so forth. But to me, the bigger thing is just where the Bears are. They can't protect, they can't move the ball, they can't score any points. Jacksonville, same situation. You have several of these teams that just, we talked about this at the beginning of the year, Pat, in Chicago. They have this all-star quarterback, these all-star receivers, the greatest skill players in the history of football, and the offensive line's a problem. They can't run the ball, they can't protect. Swift is doing all he can, but it's just hard. And then you get into a situation where too many negative plays, too many turnovers, too many long yardage situations, and it's been a tough. We'll look. They've had the benefit of the schedule. We'll see how it goes here with the Bears and with Jacksonville and teams like that. Seattle that have had a lot of offensive line problems. It's just Cleveland. Just hard to imagine that they're going to really be able to sustain much when you have that many problems up front.
Let's go to Chicago, actually. Back to Chicago. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, speaking of Chicago, Coach, now it's coming out, everyone's saying, hey, you look at Caleb Williams, he's definitely regressing, and everyone's coming after Shane Waldron, and obviously there's all the questions about Eberflus, whether or not he's going to keep his job. But as a coach, especially a defensive-minded head coach, how do you know when it's time mid-season to make like a play-calling change like they're talking about right now?
And with that being said, he just spoke at his press conference. He said Caleb's not getting benched, and Shane Waldron's still the play caller as of now, literally just moments ago.
Way to be on top of it, Pat.
Thank you. Just news breaking. Just news breaking. Sorry.
Well, yeah. Look, I think the only time, I think you want to make that decision is when you're not going to go back on it. That that the die is cast and this is the way it's going to go, and whatever you've seen, you've reached the point that unless there was some type of injury or some circumstance that's, I would say, kind of unforeseen, that this is the way it's going, and then that's when you would make that change. Not you don't want to make it and then 2 or 3 weeks later realize, well, actually things were better before, and now we need to go back to where we were. That's not what you want to do. So once you decide that's what it is, then go ahead and move forward, but you better be sure, because you definitely don't want to backtrack.
Okay, speaking of backtracking, there's a lot of that potentially happening in organizations. It's getting loud this time of year. D-Butch got a question for you.
Yeah, 2024, we always talk about players kind of blocking out the noise outside the building, but I feel like it's getting tougher for coaches to kind of block out that noise, whether it be front office listening to what's going on the radio or media or content or whatever. How hard is that, and how do you manage that as a coach, blocking out noise, even if you're like a team coach in a winning team like Nick Sirianni, on the other side of that, a guy like Brian Daboll who's kind of struggling to find, some footing right now with his team?
Yeah, well, I think when you're in that leadership position, you have to block out the noise, good or bad. You're going to hear it both ways. You'll have supporters and you'll have some detractors or critics. That's part of the game. That's part of the position. It is what it is. So you do the best you can for the team, make the best decisions that you can on a week-by-week basis, and also, in the foreseeable future, over the next few weeks, if there's a decision you make that can help the team, then you make it, whether that's a personnel decision, whether it's the way you practice or a schematic change, or whatever it happens to be. Just do the best that you can for the team and make sure the team knows that you're doing everything you can to win, and that's what your job is as a coach, and that's what you should do. And I think that's what all those guys are doing.
Did you ever get a sense throughout your coaching career, not just in New England, throughout your entire coaching career in New York and Cleveland and everywhere, that people that were maybe ownership or above, whatever the case, were listening to like the media, and that could potentially sway some things? Did you ever get that sense?
Yeah, well, 100%, 100%. Yeah, there's a lot of times where if you read the Monday papers, that you get the exact same questions from the owner when you meet with him later in the day. It's almost like they read the columns and all, and then whatever's in the paper, then that's kind of the questions. Hey, why didn't you blitz more? Hey, how come we didn't run this play more? Hey, how come we didn't? We went for it on fourth down. Whatever it is, it's whatever the columns are in the paper. A lot of times, that's what pops up in the owners' meetings. But it is what it is. Again, you make the decisions that you feel like are best for the team, and you live with them. Not all of them are right, certainly. You try to learn from the mistakes that you make and be better prepared, or maybe recognize something the next time that situation comes up, how you would handle it differently. But that's, again, that's part of the situation. And look, nobody made more mistakes than I did in New England. You make, hundreds of decisions every day, a couple hundred decisions every day, just in, what you do, what you say, how you do it, and so forth, or the way you structure practice, meetings, plays, everything else. And yeah, they're not all right. And the ones that need to be corrected need to be fixed, and you got to do your part. And so does everybody else in the team, the organization. If everybody improves a little bit, then you'll see a big change in the team. If only one or two improve, then it's probably not going to move the needle too much.
Are you a believer in you're either getting better or worse type thing too, as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, in the NFL, every week's a new week. You're playing a different team with a different scheme, with different matchups. So it doesn't really matter what happened last week. It's a whole new challenge this week with all those factors that I just mentioned. And if you don't go through the full preparation and do everything you can to have the team ready to go, then you're just giving them a better opportunity to have a better day against you than you have against them. So, once it's over, you turn the page and you move on. But preparation and focusing on the next opponent and your next opportunity is, you've got to do that quickly. You can't, sit there and bask in any of the glory or feel sorry for yourself. Like, none of that's going to help anything at all. Just recognize the mistakes, what you did well, reinforce those, move on, and start getting ready for the next game.
Man, owners coming into head coaches around the NFL going, why is Dan Orlovsky saying we need to run?
That's
what's going on, OC Joe?
Oh, my God. Could you imagine?
Yep.
That head coach is sitting in there watching film, hasn't slept in 2 days, just doing his whole thing. Owner comes in. Oh, Mr. Mrs. whatever. Oh, sure. Can I have a moment? Absolutely. This morning, Dan Orlovsky said, we're not running enough.
Better spacing.
We're not using the full.
Talk to Waldron.
I think he made a good point.
Why is Dan saying that? I would like to see us use the entire. And then that is a magical thing to think. That's really happening, though, probably somewhere, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Hey, Coach. McAfee said that you should have blitzed a little more on third down. I don't know. Why do you think he said that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My God. I'm so sorry to any coaches that we've ever been used as. Yeah. Not that we have, but if that is.
Well, because you have so much credibility. You played, you've had a lot of success, you've got Deep Butt, AJ. I mean, you got other players on there, guys that have been very successful, smart, players that are experienced and have seen a lot and have done a lot. And, hey, they said you should be doing this, should be doing that. Like, what do you think? Maybe we should, huh? Maybe we should be running more trap plays like AJ said, or maybe we ought to be playing a little bit more man coverage like D Butt said. I don't know. Yeah, true. Pac-Man said, hey, maybe we should be returning more punts, not rushing so many. Yeah, that's real.
Oh, my gosh. I am so sorry to all the coaches that we've been a part of it, but also figure it out.
Yeah. Hey, how do you answer that, though? How do you answer that, Coach? Like, what can you say? Other than, hey, those guys are idiots. They're on TV.
Honestly, it doesn't really matter who asked the question. The answer would be the same anyway. It would depend on whatever the question is. Why didn't we blitz as much? Well, because whatever reason, they protected a lot, or we couldn't match up to cover, or whatever the reason was. I don't know, but it would still be an honest answer. The fact that the question came from somewhere else is, you control what you can control.
Man, I couldn't even imagine.
Control the answer. You can't control the question.
Sean Payton today with this one. Hey,
why is that guy out there?
So Dan Orlovsky's a quarterback. He said that this was a thing. And then Pat McAfee, do you know he's a field goal guy? I think he was a field goal. He punted the field goals, I think. He said almost beat the Chiefs. Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Sean. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Sean Payton's gonna have to deal with that. But hey, you're built for it, brother. Mm-hmm. And also, that can't happen. That can't be happening.
Pat, I'll be honest with you. The kind of the the worst that it ever was for me, honestly, were these two questions. In Cleveland, the guy that's run the defense, like, does he really know what he's doing? Are you sure we're okay on defense? Do you think maybe, do you want to maybe call some more of those defenses? Save it. Right, just save this defense coordinator. Offensive line. I know we're not the most talented offensive line, but what about the coaching? Like, are we okay on the coaching up there? I feel like we could maybe get a little more out of these guys with the coaching. Now, that's Kirk Ferentz and Pat Hill. No, the problem is not the coaching. The problem is not the coaching.
Oh, my God.
Of all the coaches to be asked about on the staff, the O-line and the defense was Saban, Ferentz, and Pat Hill. That was mind-boggling.
Oh, my God.
I got to be honest. That was mind-boggling.
Imagine being a billionaire owner, too. Excuse me. Who's this little Nicholas? I think his name
Saban is his name?
He doesn't see him. Oh yeah, he'll go on to be one of the greatest of all time. The offensive line. This guy, he'll be one of the greatest of all time. What a time! You coaches have to deal with so much shit, that whole world is in, and right now it's heating up everywhere. Oh, yeah. Now it usually does happen in this one particular organization. This year it's complete opposite direction. Connor has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach. We're talking to Jim Harbaugh here in a little bit. What do you think about what he's doing over there in LA? It feels as though, to Pat's point, they've kind of unlocked Herbert. Everything that we thought the Chargers were going to be every single year this year, it feels like they've done. What do you think about the culture he's kind of established, and do you think that he'll keep this going for years down the road?
I think that's what Jim does, is establish culture. That's exactly what he does. He's tried to build a more balanced team, more emphasis on the running game, more emphasis on defense, and taking some of the pressure off Herbert so he doesn't have to go back there 45 times a game and throw for 350 yards to win. So, and Herbert's, embraced that. He's done a better job of just doing what the team needs him to do. He doesn't have to, go back there and lead the league in passing and, interceptions and everything else. Just go back there and, take advantage of the opportunities that he has and let the runners run, let the defense play defense and, those kind of things. And Jim's established a hard-nosed, tough culture, which is really what every team needs. Is they need a culture that everybody believes in and can rally around. And Jim's done a good job of that.
Isn't it crazy?
But you knew that's what it was going to be. That's what Jim did at San Francisco. That's what he did at Michigan. That's what he believes in. And he doesn't make any bones about it.
We knew as soon as he went up there, it's like, all right, they're going to become a physical team, and they're going to become a tough team. And it's like, isn't that what everybody's hoping to become? And Jim Harbaugh just has the ability to do it. Why do you think some coaches...
Well, no, I don't think the Bears are looking to be that. I think the Bears are looking to, they draft a quarterback with the first pick. They go out and take another receiver. They got receivers all over the place. They got a tight end. And, we got all these weapons for the quarterback. But we talked about this at the beginning of the year. There's issues on the offensive line. Now they got a couple guys hurt. I mean, now they scored 3 points. They haven't scored in I don't know how long. How many drives have it before since they've scored? Well, it's not because they had, not because they didn't draft a quarterback, not because they don't have receivers, but there's issues on the offensive line. It's the way the team is built. It certainly wasn't built like I keep saying San Diego,
right.
Like the Chargers were built. I mean, they have a different, a different model, different format. I mean, same thing at Detroit. Detroit went out and did what? Got 2 good tackles and a good center. Well, it's not a bad place to start. Then you start filling in around it with, the quarterback, with the running back, with the receivers, and it's just a different model.
Football's always going to be this. When football matters, it always comes down to this. Feels like it, doesn't it, Bill? It really does. When football starts to matter, it feels like you have to be able to punch somebody in the mouth. Like that has to happen.
Well, 100%, because sooner or later you're going to run into somebody that's going to play the game that way, and you got to be able to fight back. That's why, we'll see what happens with Baltimore and Pittsburgh, not just this week, but all the way through. But, the teams that come out of that division, they're going to come out of there tough, physical, and let's call it battle hardened. And, you get that from the AFC North. Like that's just the way they play. And, I'd say Cleveland, even though they've had some issues, I'd say defensively, if you play good against their defense, that's a pretty good sign. So, that's what that division is. You're battle hardened when you come out of there. That's a lot like it was when I was with the Giants in the NFC East in the 80s. After you play Washington, Philadelphia, and Dallas, I mean, whoever could survive that, had a pretty good chance against San Francisco.
Now the story of the NFC East is which coach can survive. Yeah. That's what it's been for like the last 5-10 years or so as they pass the championship crown around, except for to the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants. Now, Washington Commanders seemingly all the way back. Giants still have a bunch of question marks. Dallas Cowboys, jeez.
Yikes.
Not jeez, that entire thing. And the Philadelphia Eagles playing their best ball. Go ahead, AJ.
Coach, Christian McCaffrey came back from his injury, and it had definitely a solid game, not crazy off the charts game like he normally has. But can you describe a little bit what it's like to try to defend a guy like McCaffrey that can seemingly do it all from out of the backfield, receiver, whatever he's doing, even block, and not just how hard the dude plays. It looks like he is legit pissed off if he doesn't score every time he touches the ball.
He's really a hard guy to defend, and I don't think McCaffrey gets enough credit for his inside running. He's very good at setting up blocks. He accelerates through the hole and does a good job with his inside run vision. We all know what he's like out on the perimeter and in the passing game. He's so hard to tackle in space. But this guy has really good body lean, and he has a lot of power for a smaller size guy. But he reads the inside blocking patterns very well. And, he's just really impressive as a runner. Again, we know in space, but in line, I have a lot of respect for his toughness, for his ability to make yards after contact. Like I said, set up blocks and, really run with power for his size. It's different, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of Curtis Martin. Curtis wasn't the biggest guy, but pound for pound, probably is one of the strongest players in the NFL, Hall of Fame runner, very good in the passing game. Like that type of a player, compared to like guys like Derrick Henry and people like that are just big physical backs. Those guys were physical, but they were 205 pounds or, I don't know, whatever McCaffrey and Martin were, but somewhere in that range.
McCaffrey goes for 107 yards. Everybody says kind of a slow start for it. It's like, all right, had a couple massive plays. Let's talk about tonight. Rams, Dolphins. Rams favored by 2.5 at home. I guess Tyreek Hill is a question, but Schefter said he is guessing that he will play for the Miami Dolphins. And when it comes to the Rams, Matthew Stafford and this McVay team have been playing a lot differently as of late than maybe at the beginning of the year. And it all revolves around that guy potentially being back on the field, Cooper Kupp. What are your thoughts on how tonight goes? And what are you looking forward to most in the Manning cast?
Well, actually, Pat, we don't have the Manning cast tonight, but
oh no! Whoa! What are you talking about? I'm bummed out about that.
The hell?
I just found out yesterday that the Colts don't work hard at practice, and now I find out there's no Manning cast. What the?
Jeez.
We have 11 games, but no. But here's what I'll say about that. I think the story of the Rams really is this defensive line. These guys have been phenomenal. They're really coming into their own as a group. Certainly Verse is, to me, a centerpiece kind of guy. This guy is so powerful. But you have him. You've got, both of the inside defensive tackles. They have good edge players, very well coached. Gift Smith's done a great job out there with them. And really, this defensive line, this front four for the Rams, as bad as they looked early in the year when they, Detroit just kind of ran the ball down the field on them in overtime, and I don't think they even put the ball in the air on that last drive. But what they're playing like now, they're so disruptive. Tackles for losses, sacks, hurries, batted balls, for interceptions. These guys are really good, and then you have the offenses start to come back after the receivers have come back for them in the last couple of weeks. The Rams, they look like they got a lot of things going for them.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch. And Matthew Stafford, when he's picking people apart and his Halloween costumes, he is an entertainment machine. Well, we can't wait to watch that game tonight. We can't thank you enough for joining us, Coach. Enjoy the night off, sounds like.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to sit back and watch this one. And but I'm telling you, that Rams defensive line is really impressive. A lot of guys that nobody has ever heard of, but they're going to start showing up. And believe me, the guys who are playing against them on offense, talk to the guys at Seattle. They know who they are. This is a good group.
Good luck to the Miami Dolphins offense. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the GOAT, Bill Belichick. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, Bill.
Okay, that's a big talking point for this evening.
Yeah. Huge.
You know where he's leaning.
Yeah. Well, how's Miami do whenever their offense just gets completely besmirched at the offensive line there? Not that great. So give me the Rams is what it sounded like from Bill Belichick.
Yep.
Gumsh, are we worried about what's about to happen up front in this?
Our O-line has actually been one of the best in the league the last few weeks. So